In the first issue of the New 52 run of The Flash, Barry Allen wakes up surrounded by empty burger wrappers, shaking violently, his body screaming for fuel. And scientifically, he should be. Every time a speedster breaks the sound barrier, they are generating enough metabolic heat to incinerate a normal human from the inside out. But Barry is just the tip of the iceberg. Today, we're breaking down the most famous diets in comics and gaming, shuffling them from medically dangerous all the way to universe-breaking. We're going to run the calorie estimates, calculate the tensile strength of organic matter, and look at the sheer physics of digestion to see which character creates the biggest paradox. We're looking for whose lunch breaks the laws of physics the hardest. Let's start with the control group, Bruce Wayne. In Batman number 701, we get a glimpse of what it actually takes to maintain peak human condition without superpowers. Alfred serves Bruce a steak dinner that looks big enough to feed a family of 4, and Bruce treats it like a light snack. To maintain the muscle mass required to bench press 1,000 pounds and fight crime for 6 hours a night, Bruce would need a caloric intake similar to prime Michael Phelps, roughly 10,000 to 12,000 calories a day. Here is the biological bottleneck, the human gut. Your body has a hard limit on how fast it can absorb nutrients. You can only process about 60 to 80 grams of carbohydrates per hour before your gastrointestinal tract backs up. To hit his numbers without vomiting, Bruce effectively has to eat every waking moment he isn't fighting. The reality of the Batman diet is pure misery. Combined with his chronic sleep deprivation, which spikes the hunger hormone ghrelin, Bruce is likely in a state of constant aggressive starvation. We're ranking this tier F not because it's impossible, but because it is medically sustainable only if you treat eating as a full-time job. It relies on extreme human conditioning, but it doesn't require magic, just a miserable amount of chewing. Now we jump from the plausible to the eldritch horror that is Kirby. On the surface, Kirby looks like a pink puffball, but his biology is terrifying. His primary mechanic is the copy ability, which involves inhaling objects, enemies, and projectiles that are often larger than his own body. In Kirby and the Forgotten Land, he takes this a step further with mouthful mode, stretching his mouth over an entire car or a vending machine. If Kirby were a biological organism, stretching his epithelial tissue around a sedan would cause catastrophic cellular rupture and massive internal bleeding. But the real physics problem is the vacuum force. To inhale a stone block that weighs several tons from a standing position, Kirby would need to generate a pressure differential capable of stripping the atmosphere of a small planet. Furthermore, when he swallows, the matter vanishes. It doesn't digest, it doesn't excrete. This implies Kirby isn't an organism at all, but a sentient, mobile wormhole. He ignores the conservation of mass entirely, deleting matter from existence or shunting it into a pocket dimension. That places him firmly in tier S. He isn't surviving on a diet, he is an entity that consumes space-time coordinates. Back on the ground, we have Solid Snake and the legendary Calorie Mate from Metal Gear Solid 3. In the game, this block of chocolate-flavored energy restores stamina instantly. In reality, Calorie Mate is a dense, flour-based nutritional supplement sold in Japan. It's efficient, but for a soldier conducting close-quarters combat in a jungle environment, it's a ticking time bomb. Snake operates in a massive caloric deficit. When you are burning 4,000 plus calories a day, evading enemies and carrying gear, your body enters a catabolic state. It starts eating your own muscle tissue for fuel. The military solves this with MREs, which are specifically designed with low residue to stop you from needing to use the bathroom in the field. Snake's diet of tree frogs and chocolate bars lacks the complex carbohydrates and proteins needed to prevent cognitive decline. While the game shows his stamina bar refilling, the reality is that Snake would be suffering from severe ketosis, muscle atrophy, and likely the shakes. We're ranking this tier F because while it's grounded in hard military reality, the magic healing property of a chocolate block hides the fact that Snake is slowly starving to death. The Hulk presents one of the most blatant violations of physics in Marvel history, the conservation of mass. Bruce Banner weighs roughly 150 pounds. When he transforms, the Hulk weighs anywhere from 1,000 to 1,400 pounds. This is an instantaneous gain of 850 plus pounds of bone, muscle, and connective tissue. Where does that mass come from? In standard physics, matter cannot be created or destroyed. If Banner is converting energy into matter, the energy required to create 850 pounds of flesh would be equivalent to multi-thermonuclear detonations. If he isn't just converting energy, then he must be pulling mass from an extra-dimensional source, often jokingly referred to by fans as the meat dimension. Then there is the thunderclap. To generate a shockwave with his hands that shatters glass miles away, the Hulk's muscles must exert kinetic energy that exceeds the chemical potential of any biological diet. He isn't fueled by glucose, he's fueled by rage, which has no caloric value. We rank him tier B because while he breaks physics, he does it consistently. He is a walking, breathing violation of the first law of thermodynamics. Specifically looking at the Sam Raimi version of Spider-Man, we have to talk about organic webbing. In the comics, Peter Parker builds mechanical shooters, which solves the biological cost, but Raimi's Peter shoots silk directly from his wrists. Spider silk is a protein, stronger than steel by weight. To spin hundreds of meters of this material while swinging through Manhattan, Peter would need to consume pounds of high-quality protein every single day just to reload. Real spiders often eat their own webs to recycle the amino acids. Peter leaves his webbing plastered all over New York, meaning he is constantly losing biomass. Then consider the fairy scene in Homecoming. Holding two halves of a massive steel structure together places thousands of tons of tension on his muscles. Muscles run on ATP, which is generated from glucose. The energy output required to hold that fairy together for even 30 seconds would burn through a human's entire glycogen storage instantly. Scientifically, Spider-Man should suffer from acute hypoglycemia and pass out mid-swing before he ever saves the day. He lands in tier D. His biology is enhanced, but the efficiency rate at which he converts pizza into tensile strength is mathematically impossible. Pac-Man is a sphere of pure consumption. In a single level, he consumes roughly 240 dots, 4 power pellets, and ghosts. Assuming he is the size of a beach ball, he consumes approximately 200 times his own body volume every few minutes. In any biological system, this volume has to go somewhere. Since Pac-Man never expands, we are forced to conclude his mouth is not a digestive tract, but a portal to a micro-singularity. Consider the power pellet. This item reverses the food chain, turning incorporeal ghosts into edible blue matter. The energy transfer required to solidify a ghost, turning spiritual energy into physical mass, violates every law of conservation. Pac-Man isn't an animal. He is a mobile black hole that devours matter and deletes it from the universe. That earns him a spot in Tier A, because he violates the conservation of volume on a scale that suggests he is a cosmic horror disguised as a pizza slice. Venom brings us to the weird intersection of alien biology and real chemistry. The symbiote has a specific, desperate craving for phenethylamine, a compound found in human brain tissue. This is chemically accurate. Phenethylamine is a neuromodulator. However, in the comics, Venom can substitute brains with chocolate, which also contains the compound. Here is where the math falls apart. To match the phenethylamine concentration found in a single human brain, Eddie Brock would need to consume thousands of chocolate bars in one sitting. The volume of sugar required to extract that trace chemical would send a human into diabetic shock instantly. Yet, if Eddie fails to provide this, the symbiote begins digesting Eddie's internal organs. We rank this Tier C because while the chemistry is grounded in reality, the quantities required turn Eddie's stomach into a TARDIS. It is a biological addiction that ignores the physical capacity of the host body entirely. Goku is the poster child for the big eater trope, but the math behind his diet is terrifying. Saiyan biology acts as a biological fusion reactor, converting physical matter into ki or plasma life energy. The problem is the exchange rate. To fire a Kamehameha capable of destroying the moon, a feat Master Roshi performed early in the series, you need an energy output of approximately 10 to the 29th power of joules. Even if Goku digested uranium, he wouldn't have enough fuel. He generates output exceeding his input by billions. Then there are Senzu beans. A single bean restores a fighter from near death to full stamina instantly. For a bean-sized object to contain enough calories to refuel a Saiyan, it would need to be as dense as a neutron star. Goku lands in Tier A because he is creating everything from nothing, treating the first law of thermodynamics as a suggestion. Yoshi is cute, but his digestion is a weaponized nightmare. His signature move involves swallowing an enemy whole and instantly excreting them as a spotted egg. This isn't digestion, it is instantaneous molecular compression. When Yoshi swallows a Shy Guy, he is taking a complex biological organism and compressing it into a calcified shell. According to the conservation of mass, that egg should weigh exactly the same as the Shy Guy. Furthermore, the process produces zero waste products. Yoshi is 100% efficient, converting bones and clothes into a uniform egg structure without losing a single atom. We rank him Tier B because this implies Yoshi possesses the ability to manipulate matter at an atomic level. He isn't eating, he is performing alchemy with his sphincter. It is a terrifyingly efficient process that defies biological explanation. Captain America represents the floor of our impossible diets, the point where physics just starts to crack. The super soldier serum perfected Roger's metabolism, making it 4 times more efficient than average. This is why he states he cannot get drunk. His liver processes ethanol so fast, the toxins never reach his brain. But efficiency has a dark side. When Cap heals from a wound, his body needs raw materials to rebuild that tissue. You cannot build muscle out of air. If he takes a bullet, his body should trigger a hunger spike so aggressive he would need to eat a side of beef immediately to prevent his body from cannibalizing his own organs. Furthermore, Cap breaks the Carnot efficiency limit for heat engines. He extracts more work from a calorie than is physically present. We place him in Tier D because while he breaks thermodynamic limits, he is at least trying to follow the rules of physics. Finally, we reach the deep cuts of DC Comics with Tenzil Kem, known as Matter Eater Lad. His superpower is exactly what it sounds like. He can eat anything. We are talking steel bars, fences, and toxic waste. This lands him in Tier S because it is a chemical impossibility. Digestion is a chemical reaction where acid breaks down bonds to release energy. Inert metals like steel do not have high energy bonds that a biological stomach can break down for fuel. Eating a fence provides 0 calories. It is biologically useless. Tenzil isn't gaining sustenance, he is destroying matter simply to destroy it. He creates a paradox where he sustains a living body on materials that contain no biological energy. He is the ultimate entropy machine, consuming the indestructible and turning it into nothing. Moving into the realm of video game logic, we have the Dragonborn from Skyrim. The pause menu diet is a legendary mechanic where the player pauses time mid-combat to inhale 50 wheels of cheese to restore health. This lands the Dragonborn in Tier A, because while the healing is magical, the consumption is physical. If you were to instantly deposit 50 pounds of dairy into a human stomach, you aren't healing a dragon bite, you are rupturing your gastric lining. The stomach would explode like an overfilled water balloon, killing you instantly. The cholesterol would turn your blood into sludge. But the real violation here is space-time compression. Consuming infinite volume in 0 seconds implies the Dragonborn exists outside of casualty while eating, creating a localized timeline paradox where matter is being deleted from the universe faster than light can travel. Next is Wolverine, the king of regeneration. We usually focus on the adamantium skeleton, but his diet is the real physics problem. Logan can regenerate entire limbs or recover from being burned down to a skeleton in minutes. This violates the conservation of mass. If you lose 50 pounds of flesh, you need 50 pounds of protein input to grow it back. You can't just wish matter into existence. Unless Wolverine is eating a side of beef every time he gets into a fight, he is generating biomass from nothing, which is thermodynamically impossible. Then there is the heat problem. Rapid cell division is an exothermic reaction. It generates heat. Healing a small cut warms the skin. Healing your entire body in seconds? That amount of metabolic activity would generate enough thermal energy to cook Wolverine alive from the inside out. He should be glowing red hot every time he regenerates a major wound. We rank him Tier C because while he ignores thermodynamics, he is at least a biological organism that drinks beer and eats peanuts occasionally, pretending to follow the rules while secretly acting like a nuclear furnace. Monkey D. Luffy takes gluttony to a weaponized level. As a rubber man, his stomach expands, which solves the volume issue, but it doesn't solve the absorption. Digestion relies on surface area, the villi in your intestines absorbing nutrients. Stretching the stomach doesn't create more villi. It stretches the existing ones thin, making absorption harder. But the real physics breaker is Gear Second, where Luffy pumps his blood so fast he literally steams. This accelerates his metabolism to the point where he is burning his own lifespan. To sustain this, Luffy is shown digesting massive bone-in racks of meat instantly. For a stomach to dissolve bone and protein in seconds, his stomach acid would need a pH lower than -1. effectively making it stronger than industrial hydrofluoric acid. If he ever burped, he would melt the deck of the Thousand Sunny. We rank him tier B because while his rubber biology expands the volume, the thermal energy required to incinerate food that fast would turn him into a walking blast furnace, likely incinerating his crewmates with waste heat. Sonic the Hedgehog presents a unique dietary model, the ring economy. While he loves chili dogs, they are chemically insufficient to fuel a creature that breaks the sound barrier. A chili dog is maybe 300 calories. Running at Mach 1 requires tens of thousands of calories per second just to overcome air resistance. Sonic actually survives on rings, floating constructs of pure energy. This absorbs the impact when he hits an enemy, acting as a shield, but the physics of his movement places him in tier A. It's the inertia problem. When Sonic goes from 700 miles per hour to a dead stop instantly, his internal organs should liquefy against his ribcage due to G-force. He ignores momentum entirely. By surviving on rings, he suggests he isn't biological matter at all, but a hard light projection that mimics a hedgehog. He doesn't metabolize food, he metabolizes kinetic energy, converting motion directly into life force, suggesting Sonic is less of an animal and more of a sentient photon. We have to circle back to the man who started this, the Flash. We mentioned the 10,000 calorie breakfast in the intro, but that is a joke compared to the reality of the infinite mass punch. In the comics, Wally West accelerates to light speed to hit with the force of a white dwarf star. As you approach the speed of light, your mass increases toward infinity. To move that increased mass, you need infinite energy. A stack of pancakes doesn't cut it. Even if Flash ate the entire biomass of the Earth, he wouldn't have enough chemical energy to reach light speed for a nanosecond. Early comics got this right. Flash would pass out from hypoglycemia constantly, but modern iterations ignore it. The Speed Force is essentially a magic path for physics, but strictly speaking, Flash belongs in Tier A. He is trying to fuel a relativistic engine with fast food. It's like trying to power a Dyson sphere with a AA battery. The math is off by factors of infinity, creating a caloric deficit that should implode the solar system. Finally, we reach the top of the food chain, Galactus. He doesn't eat meat or veggies, he eats the life energy of planets. This places him in Tier S, the cosmological tier. Let's look at the scale. A single planet contains more potential mass energy than a star outputs in a millennium. When Galactus consumes a world, he is absorbing the binding energy that holds the crust together. But his diet serves a specific function. He eats to delay the heat death of the universe. In Marvel lore, Galactus is a universal constant, a check against entropy. He isn't just breaking the laws of physics, he is the operating system. He converts matter into cosmic energy with 100% efficiency, preventing the universe from freezing over. His diet isn't biological, it's structural. If he goes on a diet, the universe dies. That is the ultimate impossible diet, where your caloric intake determines the lifespan of reality itself. So, what have we really learned today? Real biology is just a boring game of chemical energy transfer. You can't cheat thermodynamics without breaking the universe. Fiction replaces these limits with pocket dimensions, magic, and absolute nonsense. If we look at the final scoreboard, Batman sits at the bottom. His diet is technically possible, but represents a miserable existence of constant eating. Galactus isn't even playing the same game. He is a walking cosmological constant. Most of these characters would be dead in seconds if real physics actually applied. But honestly, that is exactly why we love watching them break the rules. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these diets would kill you the fastest? Eating 50 wheels of cheese in a split second? Or trying to fuel a speedster metabolism on a college budget? Let us know in the comments and subscribe for more science breakdowns.